Today is the day. Have the X100V and the X100VI. Going to do some side-by-side comparisons to really see how well the new 40 megapixel sensor resolves this lens. They both have the same lens, so it'll be pretty interesting. I'm also going to test the autofocus, even though we're not going to be doing too much autofocus stuff, but then also testing the IBIS. Then we'll jump back to the studio, get some first impressions of all this kind of stuff, and I'll let you know what I think about these guys. Now, one of the first things I noticed on the X100VI is just that difference in the newer processing with the autofocus. So when you actually go to use this, especially if you're using the tracking mode, and that is how I primarily use these cameras, the tracking is much more precise on the X100VI. So if I have it on my face right now, it will be one box, and that single box will move around and follow my face. Where on the X100V, all of the boxes that are available will basically be grid across the screen. And then wherever that thing moves, those boxes will pop up as it moves over that thing. So that's a really bad explanation of what's going on here. But when you actually watch it, that's totally what's happening. So one of the things that I've talked a lot about recently in terms of autofocus is it's like stickiness. And it seems like the X100VI is actually doing a much better job of being sticky and just grabbing the thing you want and sticking with it and being a little bit more solid. Where the X100V, well, I haven't really had much of an issue with it. It just kind of won't grab it as tight. Now I'm using the exact same autofocus settings for both, so it really is just a little bit better on the X100VI. Not a deal breaker by any means on the X100V, but a worthy upgrade. Now I did do a few kind of like lower light, slower shutter speed tests on the X100VI, and one of the things I did notice that is that I could basically go down about 1 to 2 stops more with the X100VI than I could on the X100V, basically just showing off that that IBIS works. Now, as far as color goes, they are actually fairly different. The X100VI and the X100V are about 500 to 700 Kelvin off from each other. So even if I'm taking the exact same photo, the exact same exposure, the exact same white balance, they are going to look very, very different. Now, do the 40 megapixel photos look good on this? I think so. They look great. I have heard a few people, and I've had a lot of questions about if the lens here is good enough to resolve that 40 megapixel sensor, and I think it does. I'm not like a crazy intense landscape photographer or anything, but I think that it does a fine job of resolving that resolution. Now, for most people, is 26 megapixels going to be enough? Absolutely. Are 40 megapixels nice? Sure, they're fine. I definitely don't need that out of a personal camera like this. But especially if you want to crop or anything, it gives you a little bit more to work with. So really, with the X100VI back ordered still, I still have not gotten mine. I ordered within 15 minutes of the launch going out, and I knew it was coming because I made a video about it, but I was checking links and making it for my video, so I didn't get to order it myself until a few minutes later. And by the time I ordered it, it should be here by the end of the month, but we'll see. It seems like if you're gonna order one now, you're gonna get it around June, is what I'm hearing at least. But there are plenty of X100Vs on the market now. Many of them are going for a little bit less or about the same amount as the original MSRP. So kind of here's my thoughts on who should be buying the X100VI and who should buy the X100V. Now, if you want the latest, greatest, if you want IBIS, if you want that 40 megapixel sensor, and if you just want that little bit extra goodness in terms of autofocus, the X100VI is going to be great. For sure. It does give you more versatility, and if it's the only camera you own, sure, it's going to be nice to have some of the extra features. If you are a photographer of some sorts that has other cameras, or you just want to get one of these right now, for the first time in years now, there are plenty of X100Vs on the market because lots of people have pre-ordered the X100VI. So if you want to save a couple $100, a few $100 maybe, you could definitely pick up an X100V, and I don't see anybody being disappointed with this camera. And personally, I'm getting the X100VI because I do this for a living. Of course, I'm gonna want to just have it around, do a little bit more stuff with it. But if I wasn't doing YouTube stuff, I would absolutely keep the X100V, and I would say that the vast majority of people, if you already own one of these, there isn't really enough to upgrade here. I've never found this to be bad in autofocus, but this is better in autofocus. I've never had an issue with needing IBIS in this camera for photography, but the IBIS is nice, especially with a higher megapixel sensor. So do I think the upgrades warrant the slightly higher price tag? Sure, especially with inflation, with this camera being almost 4 years old now or whatever. It definitely makes sense why this is here. Now, am I incredibly frustrated with the fact that this camera is not available? Abso-freaking-lutely. Even when I was on the original press briefing call thing with Fujifilm, obviously people were asking about it, and they were assuring people that there would be cameras shipping right after the launch, which was weeks ago, and I already don't have one, even though I pre-ordered the same night it released. So obviously this camera is incredibly in demand, and if you aren't someone that wants to wait months and months on end, I would absolutely look into picking up an X100V. I've been seeing them pop up on places like KEH, and so I will definitely put links to buy this camera used from some trusted sources down in the description. And if you want to jump in and pre-order one of these, I don't think you're going to be disappointed either way. The only disappointment, even for me right now, is that it is just taking so long to get all these out. In my initial excitement about pre-ordering this camera, I would absolutely say that some of that has been lost in the waiting here. But I think that once anybody that has pre-ordered this camera does get one, they are just in for a really nice little treat of a camera. It's beautiful. It does an amazing job. It's just one of my favorite cameras of all time, and there's definitely a reason for it. So thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments down below. And also, if you are excited for baseball season, like I am, comment your favorite baseball team down below and we can get some friendly rivalries going on. If you're interested in my initial thoughts in the X100VI, you can check them out up here. Check out more videos on the X100 up here, and I will see you in one of those videos.